Hi, I'm odeean and this is a video review for Transformers Prime Cyberverse Playset, the Jackhammer. So the Jackhammer is a spaceship that we've seen in the cartoon, piloted by Wheeljack, an Autobot found travelling amongst the stars. And in the show, the Jackhammer is a really cool ship, and I like spaceship toys, especially when other toys can go in them. So it was exciting for me to find out that we were going to get this. You can see, going by the silhouette here, we've got a lot of design cues taken straight from the show. So they've tried to get this to look right, although the proportions are not quite right. The hammer looks good in silhouette, but these, I don't know what they are, antennas or engines or whatever at the back are much smaller than what we see in the show. So they would have been a lot better if they were done bigger. Looking at it from an angle, it really starts to lose what it had in the silhouette department. This is paper thin here, so it's really not screen accurate. As far as I remember it, these things weren't just a blade. So I dig blade ships where, like a TIE fighter, for example. I'm not against that idea, but I just think the Jackhammer wasn't meant to be super thin in its blades like this one is. Still, for a toy I paid $28 for, it's pretty good, and I was more than happy to get it. So, doing a turnaround, just to show you roughly the details that are here. In the front, we have this nice little window, so that's actually see-through. I'll show you later the figure through that hole. But what features does the Jackhammer have? Okay, so first of all, the primary feature of this toy is a kind of automorph transformation. And in theory, we stick our thumb into this lever at the back and just pull it back, and then these wings are going to fold down and the guns are going to pop up. But whether it does it or not is yet to be seen. So I've had some problems. Let's see if it will work for this video. So pulling it back. Okay. You can see that it didn't really go as far as it was meant to go. Probably because on my set it seems to be malfunctioning or perhaps broken. So if I try to push it back in, it should do the opposite. And it's done it pretty good there because I'm being pretty careful. But if I pull it back harder than what I'm showing you now, the teeth on the little, where the gear meshes into a track, pop off, and then both sides start to become out of sync. So you can do it if you're careful. If you do it too quick, it rips itself to pieces. A bit worse than what happened on the Energon driller. If you see my video for the Energon driller, you remember I complained about the back section not flipping in and out properly, and in the end I finally found a locking position. With this guy, if you pull it hard, it's not that it won't lock, the gear will pull straight through and it won't be in the right position. So what you'll end up with is you'll push it forward like this and nothing will happen. So you'll get the lever being forward but the wings not. Then it's out of sync and you have to ram it back in and you hear this nasty crunch, 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 crunch until you can get it back in sync again. So not really durable, and I don't really want to force the issue here to show you, but trust me, it does happen. Okay, so once we get that forward like that, what have we got? It's kind of an attack mode if you want to still think of it as a ship. So looking at that, I like that too. I mean, in the cartoon I was happy with it how it is, but in the toy form, this is really nice as well. What we're supposed to do though is bend these handles back, and a Cyberverse commander figure can stand on either side here operating these guns. I don't have any Cyberverse commanders. I don't really collect Cyberverse, or I think that's what they call them now. But the guns do fire out a nice little pellet like this with enough strength to get out of the barrel, which is all you can ask for. So that's a nice feature. As well as that, we've got this button here. So when I push the button, the light lights up. I got a bit closer. I've got too many lights here to make it very clear, and it's not really that bright to start off with anyway. So that is an energon hose, as I like to think of it, like with the energon driller, that is on the end of this wire. So the wire has a cable inside to stop you overstretching it and breaking the innards. This is attached to a little door that we can flip open and pull out a really long section of cable. So putting him back like that, you can see this cable is plenty long enough to reach many other places and maybe even connect with another ship or other figures. So the toy himself, Wheeljack, can grab a hold of this, if you do it right, and have a little gun. Where's that button? It would have been better if they put a built-in sound effect, I think. Wouldn't have cost that much extra, but then again, no, I take that back. I am happier to have this cavity and the retracting hose than I would be to have that cavity filled in and have a sound effect. I think that the retracting hose was the right way to go, so I'll be content with my own sound effect. So if we pull that off of Wheeljack, it can also connect to this section, which looks somewhat like a gun. On the ship, it sort of just slots together like this, but it won't hold together that way off the ship, which is a pity because that's the best way it looks. But what the gun can do is it can peg together underneath. So if I peg that together here, we've got another kind of weapon that can be carried around by a figure. Putting this bit back in is much better than with the energon driller. The cavity is really nice. Look in here, got a big cavity, suitable for putting the whole cable back in. Unlike, if you remember, the energon driller, where the cavity was so small that I had to really crimp that wire to the point where I think it's going to be ruined to get it back into the slot. So this section is much better than on the other set. So what can we do with Wheeljack? He's a nice little toy, but again, I don't care much for these small figures. But what we can do is, putting him in a sitting position, he can pilot his ship. So we can pop open, actually, let me retract these. So we can pop open the canopy of his ship. There's no detail inside, it's just plain grey like the rest of it. He does have some moulded detail like this seat in here. So Wheeljack can sit on his seat, putting his feet on the floor on either side in a really nice sitting position, and we can close the hatch and see him through the window. So there you go, you can see his chest detailing in there, and if there's a bit more light, maybe, no, I can't see the head, but I can see it where I am. The camera just doesn't see it here. But he can look out that window and pilot his ship. So I'm happy with that. That's a nice feature. On the bottom of the ship, we have these three little wheels, so it can drive along. Although I don't think this ship needs to drive along, but I guess they've got to put that in there just so they can show one more thing on the box. Going to the transformation for Wheeljack, we can just, pull Wheeljack out of here. So he's pretty straightforward. We just bend his feet down, start to twist his body up like that, fold the arms around so that they're back in, and then fold the legs back, squeeze him all together so that the few little pegs go into place, and there we've got Wheeljack. This version of Wheeljack, I think, actually has some advantages over the deluxe. Looking at the front, we have a solid section, no big holes underneath. He comes with his little swords, which you can peg into these holes you see on the top. So I don't much like these swords. I think that they're too bent. Unlike with the deluxe, these ones seem way bent at the ends, comically so. So they're not very nice weapons. I tend not to use them. I tend to just peg these in somewhere on the jackhammer, like on the top of these guns, and instead of swords they can be just some kind of detailing on the ship. So, as I said, I paid $28 for this at Kmart in Australia. I think the going price for this at the moment is about $10 more than that, almost $40. So it's not worth $40, that's for sure. I will never pay that. $28 is spot on for what I think the value proposition of this toy is. If it was any bigger or any more screen accurate, I would be happy to pay 50, 60, whatever. But given that it is not screen accurate really, and the size is not really that big, $28 is not too bad for this. I would have been super happy if there was some way to get the deluxe Wheeljack figure in here, but unfortunately that will never happen. No matter how you bend him, he will not fit into this cockpit. So can I recommend it? Yeah, if you like the jackhammer, get this. Even if your scale is important to you, it's still cool to have a jackhammer. Is the toy durable? Yes, I've dropped this from about 1.5 meters high by accident. It landed right on this prong here, and instead of snapping off, it just bounced like a ball and did not even get a stress mark. So there are some good points to this. I hope you enjoyed this review. Thanks for watching video review of Transformers Prime Cyberverse Playset, the Jackhammer.